from the Grand Ballroom of the Sherman House in Chicago, Illinois. It's the finals of the first U.S. Open Pocket Billiards Championship under the auspices of the Billiard Congress of America. Hi friends, how are you? I'm Joe Wilson speaking to you from the Grand Ballroom of the Sherman House in Chicago, where in just a moment we are going to have for you the playing of the first U.S. Open Pocket Billiards Championship in years, sponsored by the Billiard Congress of America. From 26 excellent performers here representing state and metropolitan champions, the field has been whittled down to the final two. And we are ready to go. Joe Balsis on the right, Irving Crane on the left. The third man in your picture, Bob Sterling, who will act as the referee of this match. This being 14-1 continuous pocket billiards championship form. These men will lag for the break. The man putting the cue ball closest to the top rail will win the lag. Referee Sterling to determine it, and it looks probably as though Mr. Balsis has won the lag, and he may elect to break himself or force Mr. Crane to break, inasmuch as it is rather difficult to call a ball that you will pocket on this break. It is good strategy to force your opponent to break. Now, on the break, for it to be a legitimate break, Mr. Crane must drive two balls to the rail and the cue ball. And the trick is to do it without opening up a shot. There are the two in the cue ball. Now let's see if he left anything.
Safety complete. Nothing for Mr. Crane.
This is in essence a safety. It counts nothing for Mr. Crane, and the innings now begin with Mr. Balsis at the table. He has 15 balls on the table, 14 of which he must run. Then he will live one ball in position for his break shot. As he pockets that ball, he will attempt to put English on the cue ball, to put it into the rack, and thereby break them up. His object ball, the 5 ball. This is a long shot, as you see, and will not be easy. There's his point. So it is 1-0, Mr. Balsis on the run of 1. Now the point is to work off these balls as he can. Position play being the all-important phase of the game at this point. In that case, the follow English going into the cluster, he didn't break them up quite as well as he might have wanted to there. Has that cluster, as you see, still pretty tight. Now, when these men were playing each other this afternoon, especially as they got into the late stages of the game and they began to play defensively, they played a very tight cluster, just picking off the balls around the perimeter. Pockets the 6 ball for a run of 4. It's 4-0, Mr. Balsis on the run of 4. 7 ball at the head rail. And follows back to being in a position on the 5. Now, pretty soon, he is going to have to get into that rack. And unless he chooses to use the 14 ball, he has no break ball as yet. But, as you see, he has broken them up somewhat now. And there is one out there that could be used. 13 ball could serve. Here, of course, the secret is position play. Playing the cue ball in such a way on your shot that you always line up behind another one. 7-0, Mr. Balsis on a run of 7.
8.
The ball he just passed there is the 13 ball that I spoke of, that I think he might choose to use as his break ball. Combination. 9 off the 8. Oh, off the 13. He used the 13 for his combination. So, he has used up his break ball. However, the 13 is pretty well positioned there again, as is the 10. They are the two with the big stripes on them. Mr. Crane here in the unenviable position of waiting for a chance to get to the table. And any time a man like Crane or Balsis steps to the table, you can figure a run of anywhere from 50 balls on up. They do not miss much.
10.
Makes it 10. 10 to nothing, Mr. Balsis on the run of 10. 4 to shoot before he must go through the rack. Mr. Balsis, a very pleasant, jovial-looking man when he is not playing, but a tremendous force when he is playing. You see if you get this impression.
11.
11 to nothing, Mr. Balsis on the run of 11. Now he has
13 ball.
the 13 ball going to play it off. He'll have to open up this cluster now. And he missed them. He missed it. Up to the head rail he goes, and now he has, as you see it, that triangle there. They're all in the rack, and we may have to go to safety. Wow. He's going to try a combination 8 ball in the corner. That's the dark one right there at the bottom of the triangle. And I don't know whether this is going to be a rail first or a direct shot. A rail first, bank, and it fails. And Mr. Balsis fails. And so the run ends with 12. And Mr. Balsis sits down at the table with a lead of 12 to nothing. And that brings Mr. Crane to the table. 4 ball, his object. The 8 ball will have to be his break ball. The 11 ball is in the rack, where the balls will be racked. If you look very closely, you'll see pencil lines there that are part of the rules. See it right there, right off the foot spot. That's the foot spot, that little circle that you see there. And there are the pencil lines. They mark those on the outside of the rack before the start of competition, so that the players are sure that the balls are racked exactly parallel to the foot rail. And it is 12 to nothing, check, 12 to 2. Mr. Balsis on a run of 2 by Mr. Crane at the table. He will have to get into the rack off this 8 ball. A side pocket. Break. Look at the English on it. Is he going to make it? He hasn't got very much speed. No, sir. He missed it. He missed it, and he scratched in addition. That means he loses the ball that he pocketed. He loses another point, and he will be 1 point, and the score now. And look at the expression here. He is 12 to 1, Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane, with Mr. Balsis coming to the table. Now, Mr. Balsis has a very unenviable situation here also, because he has no break ball. So he's going to play a safety. Now, in a safety, you must drive an object ball to the rail or hit an object ball and drive your cue ball to the rail off of it. He did not do that. It's a scratch, a foul. He loses a point. It's 11 to 1. Mr. Crane also does not complete a legitimate safety. It's a scratch against him. He loses a point. It is 11 to nothing. If you take 3 consecutive scratches without an attempt to shoot a pocketed ball or safety in between, you will lose 15 points and the 1 on the shot, so that you can lose a total of 18 points on 3 consecutive scratches. Mr. Balsis here could possibly play a safety here. All he has to do is just touch a ball. Now let's see whether or not he does. It's the referee's judgment. It's a scratch. It is not a safety. It's a foul. He loses another point. The score is now 10 to nothing. Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane. Mr. Balsis has 1 scratch. Mr. Crane has 2. Mr. Crane at the table, knowing that if he incurs another scratch now, it will cost him 18 points. Safety, he must hit that object ball. Did. Drives the cue ball to the rail. And he didn't open up that cluster very much that I can see.